Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey Billups was drafted third overall in 1997, and everyone thought he was going to be the next great point guard. Instead, he got traded 5 times in his first 7 seasons. 5 teams gave up on him. The Celtics, Raptors, Nuggets, Magic, and Timberwolves all said, nah, this ain't it. But then something wild happened in Detroit.
At 27 years old, Billups finally found his home with the Pistons and became Mr. Big Shot. This dude went from being a journeyman to Finals MVP in 2004, beating a Lakers team with Shaq, Kobe, Malone, and Peyton. Think about that. He was considered a bust for 7 years, then suddenly he's outplaying prime Kobe in the finals. The Pistons won that championship because Billups hit clutch shot after clutch shot when it mattered most. But that wasn't enough for Chauncey. He made 5 straight All-Star games from 2006 to 2010, led Detroit to 6 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals, and became one of the most respected floor generals in the league. His career completely flipped at an age when most players are already established stars. By the time he retired, he had completely rewritten his legacy from draft disappointment to champion.
Kyle Lowry. Anyways, Kyle Lowry's story is even crazier. This man was drafted 24th in 2006 and spent his first 7 seasons being absolutely nobody special. In Memphis and Houston, he was just another backup point guard, averaging like 9 points a game. The Grizzlies traded him, the Rockets didn't want to pay him, and at 26 years old, his career was going nowhere fast. Then Toronto took a chance on him in 2012, and everything changed. Lowry went from bench warmer to all-star literally overnight. He made his first all-star team at 28 years old. That's ancient in basketball years for a first-time all-star. But this dude didn't just make one all-star team. He made 6 straight from 2015 to 2020. He became the heart and soul of those Raptors teams. The peak moment came in 2019 when Lowry, at 33 years old, finally won his championship. He was diving for loose balls, taking charges, hitting three-pointers, and playing with more heart than guys half his age. That championship run was the culmination of a career that almost never happened. Most players who spend 7 years as role players stay role players forever. Not Kyle Lowry. Next up is Jimmy Butler. And this story hits different. Butler was the 30th pick in 2011, dead last in the first round. The Bulls took him as an afterthought. His first 3 seasons, he averaged 8, 9, and 13 points respectively. Nobody was talking about Jimmy Butler. He was just another energy guy coming off the bench.
But Butler had something special. He was obsessed with getting better. While other players were partying in the offseason, Butler was in the gym at 5 a.m., working on his jump shot. At 25 years old, he exploded for 20 points per game and made his first All-Star team. That's when everyone realized this dude was different.
He wasn't done. Butler became the alpha dog in Chicago, then Miami, then Philadelphia, and now back in Miami. At 32 years old, he's still putting up all-star numbers and carrying teams to the finals. His 2023 playoff run was legendary. He single-handedly took the Heat to the finals as an 8 seed, dropping 40-point games and talking trash to superstars half his age. Butler proved that heart and work ethic can overcome everything. Steve Nash. But Jimmy Butler's late start looks early compared to Steve Nash. This man didn't make his first all-star team until he was 28 years old. 28! Most MVPs make their first all-star team by 23 or 24. Nash spent 6 years in Phoenix being a decent backup point guard, then 4 more years in Dallas being solid but not spectacular. Then in 2004, Nash returned to Phoenix at 30 years old and became a completely different player. He won back-to-back MVPs in 2005 and 2006, becoming only the 10th player in NBA history to accomplish that feat. Think about this. Nash was 31 when he won his first MVP. That's insane. Most players are declining by then, but Nash was just hitting his peak. Those Phoenix teams revolutionized basketball. Nash turned the Suns into a 7 seconds or less offense that averaged over 110 points per game when that was unheard of. He was hitting three-pointers, throwing no-look passes, and conducting an orchestra every night. The crazy part is he did all this after everyone thought his prime was over. Nash proved that basketball IQ and skill can age way better than athleticism. Al Horford. Al Horford's story is wild because this dude has been productive for almost 2 decades, but he didn't become truly elite until way later than anyone expected. Horford was drafted 3rd overall in 2007 and had a solid career in Atlanta, made 4 All-Star teams, was consistently good, but never great. Everyone thought they knew what Al Horford was. A nice player, not a superstar. Then at 30 years old, Horford signed with Boston and completely transformed his game. He became the perfect modern center, shooting three-pointers, facilitating offense, and anchoring elite defenses. But that wasn't even his peak. At 36 years old in 2022, Horford was Boston's second-best player in their finals run. 36! He was hitting clutch threes, making all defensive level plays, and leading a team to the finals at an age when most players are retired. The crazy part is Horford just signed a 2-year extension and is still playing at an all-star level at 38 years old. He's averaging 9 points and 8 rebounds while shooting 40% from 3 this season. Most players decline hard after 30, but Horford has gotten better and more valuable as he's aged. He's redefined what it means to be a late bloomer in the NBA. Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas in Boston is probably the most heartbreaking story on this list. This man was 5'9" and got drafted dead last in 2011. Pick 60 out of 60. Everyone said he was too small, too slow, too everything. He spent 3 mediocre seasons in Sacramento and Phoenix, averaging 11 points as a backup. Then Danny Ainge traded for him in 2014, and IT became a completely different player. At 26 years old, he started putting up 20-plus points per game, but that wasn't his peak, not even close. In 2016-17, at 28 years old, Isaiah Thomas averaged 28.9 points per game and finished 5th in MVP voting. 5th. A guy who was almost out of the league was getting MVP votes. That playoff run in 2017 was legendary. Thomas was playing with a separated shoulder and a hip injury, dropping 53 points against Washington in the playoffs. He carried Boston to the Eastern Conference Finals while dealing with his sister's death and his own injuries. He was playing through pain that would sideline most players, but he kept scoring and scoring. The tragic part is that hip injury destroyed his career right when he peaked. Thomas went from MVP candidate to barely making rosters. But for that one magical season, he proved that heart and skill could overcome every physical limitation. He was the ultimate underdog story, until his body betrayed him. Joe Johnson. Joe Johnson's story is different because he was always good, but he became great way later than expected. Johnson was drafted 10th in 2001 and had a solid rookie season in Boston. Then he got traded to Phoenix, where he was just another wing player for 3 seasons. But at 24 years old, Johnson signed with Atlanta and became a completely different player. He made 7 straight All-Star teams from 2007 to 2014. 7 straight! This dude was putting up 21 points per game year after year, carrying those Hawks teams to the playoffs consistently. He became one of the most underrated scorers in NBA history. The crazy part about Joe Johnson is how clutch he was. They called him ISO Joe because he could get a bucket whenever his team needed it. He hit game winners, scored in isolation, and was automatic in the fourth quarter. Johnson didn't peak until his mid-20s, but when he did, he sustained that level for almost a decade. Last but not least is Brook Lopez, and this transformation is wild. Lopez was drafted 10th in 2008 and spent 9 seasons with the Nets as a traditional center. He was good, averaged 18 points and 7 rebounds for his career in Brooklyn, but he was just another big man in an era that was moving away from traditional centers. Then at 29 years old, Lopez completely reinvented himself. He went to Milwaukee in 2018 and became a stretch 5 who could shoot 3-pointers and protect the rim. This dude went from shooting 2 3-pointers per game to 6 per game overnight. He became the perfect modern center, spacing the floor on offense and anchoring the defense. The result? Lopez helped the Bucks win their first championship in 50 years in 2021. He was 33 years old, hitting 3-pointers and blocking shots at an all-defensive level. Lopez proved that veteran players can completely change their games to fit the modern NBA. He extended his career by at least 5 years by adapting his style. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.